Creating character lineups is hard, and to be honest, I didn't think it was going to be that hard until I made one. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through my experience of designing my first character lineup for my world Chroma. If you want to learn more about this world, check out the playlist in the description below. But before we start, I want to let you guys know that I'm still learning and growing as an artist, and I'm simply presenting the knowledge I learned while doing this lineup. Some of the info in this video might not apply to you or your current position, and that's more than okay. I still hope you can enjoy the video and find it helpful by any means. At the end of this year, I really want to have a professional portfolio website that showcases my characters and the art I make for their stories. So to do that, I wanted to make a character lineup as an establishing piece for my world building project Chroma. I decided to make a character lineup for my character group, the Dawn Vanguards. They're the first and main superhero group in my world, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to make my first completely finished character lineup. I've made a lineup before, but it was just a sketch, and I did it as an assignment in a masterclass I was taking at the time. I received a lot of good feedback from it and wanted to test my knowledge to see if it stuck with me. I also wanted to redraw Comet's main reference drawing since I made some changes to his design with his proportions and stuff. But now that we know why I wanted to make this lineup, let's talk about what I learned from it. Always reflect on the resources you currently have that can give you the insight you need and the knowledge you want before starting a new project. Before starting this lineup, I didn't really do a lot of prep work before. I just jumped into the lineup and started working on it from there. I'm not saying that that process doesn't work. I've started pieces like that and really like the outcome of it, but starting a character lineup knowing that I haven't done one in a while and the last time I did it I received a formal professional critique, I should have done more research to know what I was getting myself into with this new character lineup, or at least review the feedback I received. If you're interested in the feedback I'm talking about, I'll put it at the end of this video since it holds some really great information. Another thing I learned was to always have a clear story and purpose that each character brings to the team as a whole. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but it has a lot more impact than you might think. I'm not saying that you have to know every specific thing about your characters to start a lineup, but knowing the intention behind why you're including the characters really helps your mindset when you're creating the lineup. It shifts your focus from drawing some characters on a canvas to communicating a story and relationship between people who each carry their own stories and illustrating that bond between personal stories with their group members. And this kind of leads me into my next topic, which is to design the characters on the same sheet as each other, which can really help when you want to show those bonds between the characters. Showing those bonds can be in the costume design of the characters, but also how the characters hold themselves and their mannerism compared to the other group members. Capturing the character's body language is an important part of character design because it brings the character to life, and communicating that body language with your other characters on the same sheet really helps you bring the bigger picture in mind while designing. It makes your characters feel connected instead of individual characters on the same paper. Plan and explore how you want to compose the lineup before starting the actual lineup. This is something I did in my previous lineup, but was an important step I missed within this current lineup. In my previous lineup, planning really helps cement the flow and composition and also the relationship between all the characters. I was also designing all the characters at the same time, which is something I didn't really do with these current characters. When I was starting out the character lineup, I put in different sketches that I did separately within my sketchbook and I just pasted them into Photoshop. And then I started tracing over them and like putting the line art above them. So already like fundamentally, there was a separation between the characters that was at its foundation, which led me to change the composition, flow, and poses of the characters multiple times because of that mistake. Doing that really burnt me out really quick. It made working on this lineup a chore instead of a fun opportunity of cementing the relationship of my characters. I was doing the explorations on the actual canvas and treated every exploration as the solution instead of an option. This made me feel very insecure about my characters because of how many times I had to change things around compared to how natural my previous character lineup felt to do. Another thing that really helps your character lineups feel alive is the clear intention you have for the piece. One thing that helps with that is to compile references for how you want the style and rendering to look. This might be a no-brainer for some people, but this was an honest mistake I made. References are such an important tool for all artists. This doesn't just mean using references to help with proportions, but also using references for the rendering style. I'm not telling you to copy from other artists, but using already established styles to inspire you and guide you with the visual direction you want your characters and project to be in. An example could be the style of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The cel-shaded characters and 3D rendering and textured environment brings a similar vibe as the Studio Ghibli films. This style really communicates the balance of whimsicality and darkness that these two pieces of media share so well. It allows the theatrical to be dramatized with the cel-shaded character rendering, which also allows the proportions to be exaggerated, but the realistic environments ground the world and gives the emotional scenes weight and depth. When I studied the Marvel Rivals art style, I did it because the style communicates motion and energy with dramatic shape language that I wanted to incorporate within my world chroma. Since then, I've drawn other inspirations from other sources like Street Fighter, Overwatch, and Marvel Comics, while also developing my own taste from how I like to draw. In this current lineup, I didn't have any references open to help guide me with the visual representation. This left me kind of clueless when it came to the rendering process and led it to me defaulting to an airbrush and lasso tool rendering process. I'm not saying that process is bad by any means, but it's not the type of rendering approach that shows the texture I want to communicate. Talking about rendering, understand the colors you're using and how they represent each character while unifying the team as a whole. This doesn't just apply to the actual color profile, but also how dark it is or how saturated it is. Colors can be a very powerful tool in communicating vibe, personality, and story in a way that is very subtle. Obviously, there is a universal color psychology, but don't let that prevent you from exploring the depth that each color can bring. The same color can mean very different things by the way you are using them. Yellow, for example, can signify a bright, radiant atmosphere, but also a sickening and toxic vibe. Colors can be expanded across so many different meanings, and using them to communicate the meaning you want for your characters can really bring forth the intentionality and subtle storytelling you might be looking for. Know what you want to prioritize in order to convey it best. This can mean personality, relationship, purpose, uniqueness, etc. What I mean by uniqueness is the aspect of your group that sets them apart from your other character groups. For example, mine was their powers. I wanted to make sure I was communicating their powers and how they support each other. I don't know if it comes across so well, but I wanted to show a tank type character, a healer, a leader, and a damage character. I did this by putting the shielder in the back while showing her using her powers to create a shield for another group member in the front. I also put the healer near the back line with the leader near the front, directing the team, with the damage character in the front line. Knowing what you want to prioritize is really important when you're making your character lineup. This leads me into what I think is the most important takeaway to learn, especially if you're starting to make character lineups for the first time. Accept the patience and open-mindedness you need for a character lineup. Character lineups are such a challenging and open-ended art practice because it tests your visual storytelling, character design, and fundamental knowledge of art. There's a lot that needs to be accounted for within character lineups, and a lot of what has to be in mind are already hard topics to master within itself. Something I didn't realize when starting this lineup was the patience I needed with myself when learning and starting something new. Because of this, I didn't expect the challenges when they came, and I allowed the hardship to bring me down and question my ability as an artist. What I really think limited me was the mindset that this character lineup was the ultimatum of my character designs. What I didn't realize was that it's okay to change designs after a character lineup if you find mistakes or a lack of synergy. You don't need to have everything figured out before starting a character lineup, as long as you know who the characters are at their core and what you want to communicate from them and their purpose with the other members. Knowing this will bring out the designs naturally in relation with all the characters. While character lineups can be viewed as the solidification of character designs, they can also be a benchmark and test how well your stories connect with each other. Creating a character lineup is not just a drawing with some characters. It's creating a gateway for your audience to step into the world you're creating. Characters bring the relatability and empathy your world requires to form strong bonds connect with your audience. Characters are such an important part of your project and stories because they represent the very human emotions your stories experience. Knowing this, it's okay to develop and change character design for the betterment of the bigger picture. Old designs can always be used for a new character that expresses that character's personality better. Change and development is the fruit of improvement. This doesn't mean to never stick with a solid design, but if you're in the early stages of your project's development, don't be afraid to experiment while you have the chance. Now that we have seen what I learned from this current character lineup, let's take a look at a critique I received on an older character lineup I did for some more advice that can help you on your future character lineups. This critique is also part of an old video I did, but I want to put it here for any new viewers watching this video. Before we get into the critique though, I want to let you guys know that I have a class coming up on costume design in November. I'm going to be streaming my workflow for the first time through the class, so if that interests you, definitely keep your eyes peeled for those incoming streams.
Again, like I see you really thinking through this stuff and like thinking about art and drawing as a form of research. Like, you know, I think you're being really efficient with the information you're putting down, because if you overcommit to some of these preliminary drawings, like it can really slow you down. And I think you're putting down just enough so that you are getting a sense of like what you want, clearing things up with pen where you've roughed it in with pencil. Like it's a really great process, and I think it's working really well for you. So yeah, doing the kind of like simplified wide shot and then push in for the face, doing these quick scale drawings to show everything and all of that stuff. So, you know, what's great about this kind of process and kind of what you're figuring out here is that you are actually doing like the concept art process, and you're really pushing yourself and investigating, figuring things out, giving yourself information and discovering things, which is good. And like, this is the workflow of somebody who's like not afraid of drawing and just like is actually looking for answers with their drawing and just enjoying it. Like I can tell you're really enjoying yourself here. And then with these ones, as you're kind of refining and pushing these gestures and getting a bit more extreme, like I can see like your taste coming in a lot, and I can see like where your focus is with some of these, and you have like a final kind of lineup that you're thinking about for the characters down here. So now let's look at the actual outcomes here, which are like the sketches. So I think that this is like a really fun lineup. The forms are looking really great on this, and the drawing's looking really clean. Like if I were to be honest, like I think that the life and the drawings that you have over here, and like how you're just like putting down the information really effectively and just trying things and pushing things. Like I think in the final, it's possible that you may have overcomplicated a few things a little bit and lost a little bit of the power of the character. Like if we look at these more kind of research sketches, like you have the gesture here, which is really nice. But then for this big guy, I see that it's like more kind of direct, and the silhouette is kind of speaking for itself. And then for some of these other characters, like there's a lot of energy going on that's like very in line with the personality. This guy's a little bit more sulking, this guy's a little bit more wah, this guy's a little bit more meh, you know? And when I look at these drawings, like you are pushing, but what I'm seeing is that like I think that you're falling into a bit of a default of the 3/4 very pushed pose. Like I think that most poses I see you do are a 3/4 pose where the rib is pushed up and out and the head is up, and something very dynamic is happening with the hands, and it curves down, and then typically what I'll see is one leg going out and one leg going back. And like that's the kind of like typical pose that I think I see you do a lot, which is not bad, right? It's like a very dynamic pose, but if it becomes like the absolute default, then it can actually like lose its impact in some ways. So I think like if we look at your final outcome, thinking a little bit about the initial sketches that you did, I think that there was a little bit of the essence lost in the final, albeit very, very strong. I think the final is very, very strong. I think the strongest drawing, I would say, in my opinion, is the kind of grandma character. I think it's the cleanest, and I think it's the most direct in terms of like what it's communicating. She's bending forward, her kind of hip is back, she's tying a knot, and she's got a smirky kind of like an I know more than you kind of expression that like kind of grandmas are allowed to have, and it feels really good in this space. What I miss about like this character that's sitting here on the bench is like I'm missing that powerful silhouette that you had here, where it's like you have a strong expression, he's standing, but he has a crutch and he's like walking, and he's got the kind of tattered texture thing here and then the stripy thing here. It's a really clean design. Again, when I look at the final that you have here, all of those elements are kind of lost a little bit. Like even the strength of the stripy design, like it's not the same. Like here you had more bold stripes that were more designed, and here it's kind of like defaulting to like a very busy texture. So when you're lining up your characters and you're doing this kind of thing, taking stock of how you actually like really want to be presenting your characters can be super, super helpful. This one here, I like how you adapted this one and you kind of pushed this one from where you had it before, because I saw the kind of before of this one, and I do like it a lot. I think that what would make this have a higher impact in terms of gesture is either if he was looking directly at the fish, right? Because that's like adds a level of humor, like what the heck, how did you get that fish? Or if he's looking directly at the father character and his eye line is really looking at him. I think either one of those would be pretty strong. In terms of proportion, I think that again, like with the legs kind of coming out and down, you lost a little bit of that initial silhouette. Like if I look at your initial sketch here, the legs and the kind of stance of the legs is actually like so sick. And the ratio of the robe is really strong here. Like this is a really strong design drawing. And when I come back here, I feel a little bit of that, again, like kind of missing slightly, which it happens, dude. And it's like, this is the thing. This is like such a valuable part of the learning process, which is that like you really like A+ the research and the preparation and the development. Like I feel like maybe it was hard for you to actually like rely on that research as being like very useful. Like I think it's possible that during the finish you kind of left behind a little bit of like what you learned during that research. These are all hard skills to develop and kind of perfect, but yeah, learning how to actually use your research is hard because when you start drawing, a lot of your preparation just kind of goes out the window and you start worrying about like, oh, is this a good drawing? Am I doing a good drawing right now? Or like, is this looking good or is this working? So those are just a few things that I would think about when you're like next kind of working on this stuff and kind of pushing this stuff. But yeah, really great work, CJ. Wow, 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 wow. I'm loving these drawings, really compelling drawings. It's just a good reminder that what you do each day is working towards a larger goal, and that if you focus on having high quality days and not like producing a high quality result, but just having consistent high quality days, like you'll outproduce what you think is possible with yourself. So the one suggestion is that when you do this much research and you really get deep and you have a lot of great information, make sure that you're leaning on that information when you go to do your final and you don't get lost in the woods a little bit. I think you should do a bunch of gesture studies to have a very diverse repertoire of gesture so that yes, you can of course do your favorite like pushed 3/4 pose, but you can also do many other poses as well, because I think like that'll really help you develop your practice and your skill. Really great work, CJ. Very impressed.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful by any means. If you found the critique portions of this video interesting, I'll link my previous critique videos and also the artist who gave me the feedback in the description below. I'll also make some videos talking about the new characters brought up in this video. If that interests you, consider subscribing and ringing the bell so you can get notified when I drop a new video. Also, remember to keep your eyes peeled for the incoming streams that I'm going to be doing about the new class that I'm working on this November. I hope to see you there and see you in the next video.